Climate change continues to be a major factor affecting the world. Melting of the polar ice cap, flooding because of rising water levels, and forest fires due to temperature extremes are all part of the problem. A new report looking at the economic problems of climate change faced by Southeast Asian countries highlights the issues faced by countries in the region.
You find that the effects are likely to be pretty big. The effects of changing water patterns are, of course, the most important. Rainfall, its intensity and its patterns. But rising sea levels going forward, although this comes a little more slowly, it can be devastating. In a country like Indonesia, which has 16 or 17,000 islands, the effect of sea level rise over the medium term will be very important there too. The coral reefs on which much of the fishing depends and indeed much of the tourist industry depends are also very vulnerable. So these are the kinds of difficulties that these countries face in the challenge of adaptation, and they all have to find a way to a low carbon economy, including of course dealing with deforestation.
Just over 2 years ago, Lord Stern published his own work on the economics of climate change, which has been the blueprint for global action. He feels there is now more understanding of the need for environmental change.
The understanding across the world has deepened very strongly in the last 2 or 3 years. Not just our report, but of course another one of great importance was the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in their 4th assessment report. That also contributed enormously to deepening of understanding.
He now believes this new report can point to the action needed in Southeast Asia.
In some places it'll be extreme storms, in some cases it'll be more sea level rise. It depends on where you are. Only the country itself can take the decisions necessary on how that country has to adapt. But they do need the information, and that's something which we should all be developing together.
As climate change continues, Lord Stern feels the G-20 London summit should lay the foundations for December's climate change conference in Copenhagen.
It's going to discuss first how to get the world economy moving again, and I think that's terribly important. Within that, and this is the first thing, I think that a strong green stimulus. This is the time when we can do insulating of homes. This is the time when we can bring public infrastructure projects forward and so on. So there's a tremendous amount we can do in greening the stimulus, and that should be part of the story because it makes a very good economic sense. The second part of the story is a strong commitment to Copenhagen. We can't expect the Copenhagen Agreement to be negotiated at the G20 at the beginning of April when the Copenhagen conference takes place at the beginning of December. But what we can see, and I hope we do get, is a very strong commitment to making Copenhagen a success, an understanding of what a success means. And I think we can hope for those two things from the G20 summit.
With climate change high on the agenda at the London summit, it's seen as the ideal place to ensure world leaders take action in tackling one of the 21st century's biggest problems.